Hi guys.
What do you need? 25 cents?
Are you having a good snow day?
Yeah. Yeah.
Could you guys help me pick out my makeup for tomorrow? Biddy, we're gonna start with you. Any primer over here? Okay. One concealer.
Nice and good pink.
That one.
Hi friends, thank you so much for being here today. Yesterday was a fun day around the house, a little bit wild at times, but we had a snow day. So the girls didn't have school and, we did some typical snow day activities. We made hot cocoa, went outside and played in the snow, watched movies, popped popcorn. I'm like a really good snow day mom. I may not hit the mark in all areas, but doggone it, I can entertain during a snow day. They even had some schoolwork to do. It didn't take them long, but just like a little packet so the day could actually count as a remote learning day. And how organized are the teachers in these folders and stuff that they bring home every day? They've stowed away like packets of work for snow days, and they're like, look in this sleeve and you'll find a snow day packet. Boom, there it is. Also, it was Bub's birthday, so I started off, I made him a surprise breakfast. I did like a biscuits and gravy bowl. I made biscuits, gravy, eggs, cheese, a little more gravy. I don't know, seemed like something that'd be right up his alley. He liked it. And then by the end of the day, the girls had cheerleading practice, we had cake, ordered his favorite Thai food. It was a good evening. But in the midst of this day, another activity I came up with. I thought maybe the girls could pick my makeup. I thought that would be fun because that was a request from one of you guys, said, why don't you have your girls do that? And it has been a while, like it's maybe been a couple of years since I've done this. And I didn't like video the entire process, but I just thought, I'll come here, we'll use the things that they chose, and we'll chat about the logic behind what they picked or the lack of logic. I just had them bounce back and forth, back and forth. So Biddy chose a primer for me and she chose the Perfector 4-in-1, which is funny because this is the one I've been using constantly. So this amounts to kind of a glowy primer. I wear it in the shade Light. Skin is already prepped and sunscreened, of course, as always. So I just get that on all over and then blend it in and you'll see this nice soft glow. And I think the reason why this has been working so well is because it's so darn thin. Something about this application style really keeps me from over applying, and you can see I'm glowy with it. It's doing what it's supposed to do. But it pairs so well with that L'Oreal True Match Nude Hyaluronic Tinted Serum, which I now have a pump on. I'll link to the pump below. So many of you said, get a pump, because the dropper is kind of a pain. We all know that. Frankly, I just think the consistency of the product is a little thick for a dropper. I think that's part of the issue. But there's that primer on all over. And the foundation that Belle chose, she picked out one that I really haven't used in a while. It's the Makeup Forever HD Skin, which I have in the shade 2N22. Okay, we'll use this. This is great because I hoped through this experience some things would get pulled out that I hadn't been thinking about. The first pump I did was minuscule, so I did actually a couple of pumps of this. But gosh, what a lightweight, thin consistency this feels like. Get it all over. I'm just gonna use this e.l.f. Duo Complexion brush for this. May have gotten a bit more foundation than was absolutely necessary. You guys, the girls got their uniforms last night at practice. They're the cutest things I've ever seen. I mean, I've been exposed to a lot of cheerleading in my life. These are cute. I'll have to get some pictures, of course, this weekend, but wow. The colors too, it's like purple and black, and there's gems and all kinds of good stuff on there. It's so cute. Like, we tried on months ago, they had us trying on some sample uniforms, and they were just bare bones things, but I thought, oh, that's fine. I don't mind a simple uniform. University of Alabama cheerleaders slay it. Just a A on there, and it's simple. But all-star cheerleading, they're a different animal. And this is glitzy behavior here. Okay, that looks so pretty, actually. It reminds me a lot of the way this looks, like the overall finish, the amount of glow, but yet it's also not super shiny. We did top, a slightly glowy primer. I've always thought of this as such an in-betweener foundation. The coverage is not too high, not too low. The glow is not too extreme, not too non-existent. It's just for people who don't want to go too far one way or the other, and of course the shade range is huge. So, all right, things are looking good so far. The concealer, that Biddy chose for me was this one from e.l.f., my little Flawless Brightening Concealer, which the last time you saw me use this, it was in conjunction with the e.l.f. Corrector. So we'll see how this little puppy does all on her own today. So I'm going to get it around my darkest areas. I mean, I've never thought of this as the most heavy-duty concealer. This was recently repurchased by me because someone was telling me how much like the YSL it is. I'm going to spread this around. You know how I like to do. I'm not really blending here, but I'm spreading the surface area that I'm gonna blend with the smaller end of this brush, so we don't just dive into the few dots where the product was applied. I feel like this is a really good tip. Spread it and then we bop over it with the larger end. Maybe I am doing a little actual blending here because this is just a small area where it needs the precision, I guess. And then right down here. Then we begin just bouncing over everything with the larger end. I mean, I think it's doing some work. I feel like it's not full coverage concealer, but it's kind of like a nice medium coverage. It is brightening up some areas that were certainly dark, like right in here. My extreme inner corners, my caverns. It's not doing as much as like Shape Tape or Camo Concealer, but yet I look up close at my face, and if we can be a little forgiving of, you know, oh, kitty cat's here. If we can be a little forgiving for the areas where maybe it didn't cover it all, the surface of my skin looks really convincing and natural, I feel like. Like if I wanted to try to convince of it, you know, it's just no makeup. This looks really good. So last night, Biddy coughed or something, made some kind of noise that I heard on the monitor that woke me up. And I went up to check on her, and I also had this knowledge that all evening, Rosie, the kitty who like normally snuggles with me a lot on the couch in the evenings and is always kind of around me at that time, was not around. And I just thought, I know there's no way she could have gotten outside. So sometimes she likes to get underneath our couch. Maybe that happened. Well, when I went up to check on Biddy, a cat comes bursting out of the room. You know where she came from? Like, they have a sort of a trundle bed situation, and when you pull out the trundle bed, there's some space underneath that they can slip into, and she had slipped in there. And she was sleeping there earlier in the day, and I bet she really liked it, and so she snuck in there, and when the girls went to bed, door got shut, and for several hours she was in there. Yep. Kitten life. Okay, so this is what we've used so far. We had our Perfector 4-in-1. We used our Makeup Forever. We're bouncing back to e.l.f. So far, Biddy's 2 for 2 on drugstore picks. But the next pick, Belle's, she chose a Glossier powder here, probably because it had a pink cap. This is the Wowder in G11-G12. I'll admit I haven't used this in a while. She did some good picks that I hadn't been really thinking about. It has this little mesh thingamajig here. Let's think about the texture. Ooh, it's super smooth, like really silky feeling. So let's grab some of that with our powder puff and get all set. Wowder. Okay, that looks nice and smooth. Signs you need to spend more time with your products. So this is giving kind of a blur, not adding any additional coverage or anything, but I feel like it's giving me a little bit of a mattified and blurred effect to the under eye T-zone area where I'm putting it. Surface of my skin feels a little bit tacky, actually. I don't know if that's due to the amount of foundation that was put on or the pairing with the primer, but there's how we're doing. I might just do a little dabberoo elsewhere too. And then if there's any excess from that puff application, I can kind of, you know, dust it around. Okay, I think I certainly look more mattified and a little more perfected there in the center of the face area. That was nice. And then for bronzer or contour, and by the way, they didn't just come up with the steps on their own, like I just directed them. I'm like, okay, next step is bronzer, pulled open the drawer, and pretty much my drawers are confined to their certain functions, so they were just able to look at everything and pick what they wanted. So Biddy chose the Hoola Glow. This is a really pretty bronzer slash contour. It has kind of a satiny finish. It's really pretty on the skin. I like it. I'm going to use it with my BK Beauty 107. The glow is not super in your face, but it does tend to look very natural on the skin. It's just so much fun to use things that you wouldn't have even thought to pull out on a given day. I highly recommend you bringing somebody in to just choose the makeup for you. Doing a little sculpting here, sculpting the Boston cream pie right off of my face. I got a new little organizer from TJ Maxx for my bathroom to help organize the girls' skincare stuff. Okay, they have a little skincare moment. I've gotten them their own little sets of makeup erasers. Belle wanted the princesses, Biddy wanted the villains, and it's not like they're wearing makeup every day. They're not. They're not wearing any makeup until there's something cheerleading or dance related, but they just dampen them. And I was thinking of something they could use to get in the feel of like washing their face every night. And with those, you just use water. So they know how to get them under the sink, get them wet, squeeze them out, go all over their face and get nice and clean. And then I gave them each their own mini jade roller, so they roll and then they put on moisturizer. I think it's awesome. And I have now their own little drawers where they can keep their nice clean makeup erasers. They're great. They're like a little 7-pack, and I have a pack of them too. And I'm even using the 7-pack of the toner puffs, which also really eliminates a lot of waste and having to buy cotton rounds every day. I'm still using some up here, but maybe once I'm through those, I'll go to that system up here also. But yeah, they love that. After they brush their teeth, they have what they call spa time. And they have their own little headband that they put on to keep their hair out of their face. It's precious. For blush, I told Belle, I said you can look through this whole entire powder blush drawer, or we have some cream and liquid blushes. She wanted to look at the creams and liquids, and then this was what she picked. It's Milani Supercharged Cheek and Lip Multi-Stick in the shade Rose Recharge. Color intensity wise, there is some sheerness here. It's not a super bold color, and I'm going to use my new e.l.f. domed stipple brush with this. I'm just going to kind of go over the tip and then stipple it on the cheeks. They had a really good orange scented setting spray that came out in this collection. That's pretty. Oh wow, while it's sheer, it still definitely has some pigment. I hadn't used this in a long while. And I'm loving, except for a little bit of shedding, I'm loving the size of the e.l.f. Domed Stipple. This is the stipple brush that is available currently that you can get your hands on. And you could use it for foundation, you could use it for cream blush. I really think it's handy for the cream blushes. The pigmented ones especially that you really want a diffused application of. I'm going for more, I'm building. Is the cheek feeling too tacky? A little tacky. Oh, but it's pretty. I think this could be enough. For highlighter, Biddy also chose a cream product. She went for the Wet n Wild Mega Glow Makeup Stick in When the Nude Strikes, and I love this. This is one of my favorite things along with Where's Walnut from this chunky stick line. And you can just draw it right on if you want to, or you could go off of a brush. But for some reason, I'm really feeling like just drawing it on the skin. And then maybe I'll use this little Sephora 56 just to dab it in. So pretty, and no weird funky texture in it. Maybe I've just really pared down my makeup collection. It's hard to call it pared down, but I've decluttered things to the point where somebody could randomly come in, pick any random item, and it's going to be something that I know works out for me. Maybe I've just gotten it curated to that point because everything's working out really well so far. Honestly, no complaints, except I could want a little extra coverage on the under eye. Belle chose a setting spray. She chose this one with the Care Bear on it. This is the Get Through the Night setting spray. And honestly, Bubba, he likes setting sprays. He likes to be misted with things. And so sometimes he'll come up here and be like, he wants this on his face. It's got kind of an herbal scent, which I do like. It's kind of maybe a little lavender in there. Okay. I know you guys are probably like, what are you doing to your kids? They're obsessed with skincare routines and setting sprays. They are who they are. I also have like a little decorative brush set, kind of decoratively placed in some shelves, and Bubba will go over to those and take one out and then act like he's painting with it. I could go over to a piece of furniture and just use the makeup brush on it, up and down, up and down. I'm like, are you working? He's like, yep, I'm working. Then guys, I had Biddy pick just both my brow steps, and she chose this Brow Pop, not surprised. This really stands out among all like the black and brown looking pencils, the drab looking stuff. I hold them all out and she's like, oh, that one. And then she chose this Diamond Mascara from Physicians Formula. Also not surprising. Let's face it, a lot of this stuff was a packaging choice, I think. It was something visually that made them think, ooh, that looks fun. So this is my Kosas Brow Pop in dark brown. You know I love this stuff because I love the square. It's square all around here. And it just feels so solid and so good in the hand. Yes, excuse me? Kitten says, I'm choosing next. You know, I kind of have to go to the bathroom. Okay, that's better. Our snow day was kind of exciting yesterday morning because things, you know, got down to the wire. I was thinking maybe we wouldn't get one. I saw all the schools coming in with their closings and then like nobody from our county. And I know from having a dad who used to be a principal, like sometimes the counties kind of like hang together on the decision. But then once I saw some of the neighboring schools floating in on the school closure list, I'm like, okay, we gotta be next. And then I get a message from one of the girls' teachers. I'm like, yeah, it's a rush. Did it make actually for a harder day for me? Ultimately, yes. And I didn't want to have like mom and dad try to get out of their house in their driveway because dad had a physical therapy appointment to go to and he had decided not to just because it was early in the morning and wasn't sure how all the roads were and everything. And so I told them not to try to come here. So yeah, the snow day made for a more action-packed day in my world, but it's just so much fun. And some people are like, well, I wish they wouldn't ruin it for kids by having the e-learning day, you know, they're doing remote learning or whatever on days off, on snow days. During COVID, there was a lot of that, and then they realized it could carry over to times, other times where the school had to shut down. And, you know, I'm not all that bent out of shape about it. Like, it's great to have a pure snow day to just do whatever the heck you want, but the work doesn't seem to take that long and it's not a big deal. It kind of gives the kids one more little activity or bit of structure in the day, which doesn't exactly hurt. Like, I've yet to see them have snow day work that took any big amount of time out of the day. At this point, I'm choosing Milani eyeshadow primer. I did not leave this one up to chance. Using that, and then Belle chose the eyeshadow palette. Then we got out of order. She chose the eyeliner as well, and Biddy chose the mascara. Because the mascara is such a classic Biddy pick. I'm just going to say her favorite color is red. But Belle went through so many eyeshadows. So many. This is part of why I thought I couldn't probably video the entire process because they can take a while. But she ended up settling on this one, the Tartelette Full Bloom. This big palette of Tarte. Pretty sure I've done a video on this palette. I think it's a little more than is necessary. You know, it's enormous. But let's see, what should we do with it today? I'm going to go down to this little shade here called Renew, and we'll just use that to get our bearings and get started out in the crease. Lovely. So pretty. Really nice pigment here. I mean, it's hard to argue with like the Tartelette eyeshadow formula that tends to be in these palettes. Like the Energy palette, the newest one, did have some kind of like oddball shimmers, but a lot of these shades seem pretty on point. We love a good soft matte crease. And I'm just using my Persona double-ended brush. This is the one that says blend and apply, and I'm using that big fluffy blend side, which is not too big, but big enough to really like get some stuff going. I'm gonna use a little of Oasis right here, and we'll go up above for a little added brightening and a little smoothing. Okay, now let's deepen up that crease. I'm going to go down here to, what's that called? Creative. It's like a deep mauve with a little gold shimmer, actually. Rosy it up. Beautiful. I am tapping off a little bit of excess with some of these. This is really amounting to just like a great shop my stash moment with this stuff. So good with that. All right, and then we're going to take something kind of for the outer corner. I'm sure one of the complaints I had in the original review was the fact that we have like this dark shade, a ton of mid-tones, and it would have been nice to have a few other dark shades maybe. I'm going to go to this one. Let's see what we get out of this matte soft plum called Romance. And just use a little bit of that down in here. I kind of like that depth level actually, that's okay. Any of you all have this palette sitting around at home? I don't know if you've noticed, but I've been trying to put out a few shorts now and then on YouTube. So like if you go to my channel, if you've missed any, you can go to my channel page and then there's a shorts tab, like you can look at just the videos or you can see the shorts, and I showed how I revamped my little palette area, which is just off the screen in this video, where I try to seasonally update the palettes that are out there. And I put out the smaller, like just the in bloom. Has the same look as the front of the full bloom. But okay, this is looking so like buffed out and nice, this grouping of shades we've chosen here. Nothing's too far off from the other shade, and I think that's part of what makes it look extra soft and just really smooth and nice. I'm wanting some shimmer on the lid, okay? I'm cleaning off this smaller end of the brush. It fascinates me how I can be so content to use this one brush for the whole look. I'm gonna go here to Lotus. This shade. Ooh, that's pretty. It's not incredibly light, but it's like this really nice medium pinky shimmer. Dig that. And I'm using like a gentle swipe so that really lays down on the skin very fully. Then I'm going to go to my second most used brush from this Persona collection, and it's the one that says Define and Smudge. And sometimes I'll use Smudge in the outer corner. I think that's a really good size, but Define is also great around the inner corner. So if I can find some light shimmer here, like this one called Sunkissed, right up there, pick up some of that, brighten up that inner corner. Anybody see that? Right in here. Okay, I'm thinking so far so good on this. I might do a little something on the lower lash line. I'm thinking of going back to this shade called Romance. Kind of using my little side there called Define. And just running it down through this area. This shade is really soft. Very nice. I think the girls would approve of that. Belle chose the Essence Lash Princess liner pen, which is a really good option for a long wearing liquid liner. I haven't really used a ton of liquid liner lately, here and there, but maybe not just to the extent that I once did. It used to be like a daily thing for me, now it's not. The other day I just used my technique, which I love, of just taking a jumbo shadow stick, and we call that lazy liner, and just go across the upper lash line with a deep shade. What was that sound? As I was saying, just pick a deep shade of one of those shadow sticks, like Cocoa from Laura Mercier, or Plum from Laura Mercier, or any of the e.l.f. shadow sticks that are in a deep color, and just run that along like the outer part of your upper lash line, and you get some really soft, pretty definition without having to do really any hard work for it. I'm doing just a little wing. This is nice, but I feel like I've used this to the extent that maybe it's getting just a little bit dry. Not terribly, but it's just not as juicy as it once was. Clearly this is the kittens' one of their most active times of day. They can do a lot of napping during the day, but at nighttime and in the early morning, man, they're everywhere. This line is not working out how I'd hoped. It's too thick, and it's just got a little, like it's dragging across the skin. It's drying out a little bit. It's okay. The girls needed to give me just a little adversity to work through. Kitten hears the wind out there. I think it's concerning her. Sounds from the outside have been a big thing lately. Like they hear the rain, they hear the wind. Like they really have to figure that out. Okay, just trying to even them out. Then it was Biddy's turn to pick a mascara, and she loves red, so she went straight to this one, the One Size Fantasize, which I really liked this the other day over Estee Lauder Little Black Primer, but now we're going to get reminded of how it does on its own. It's kind of a thickening mascara in my experience. What you doing, Bisky? Her name is Biscuits, but we call her Bisky. You think you look cute there? You're part of the decor? I love you. Love you so much. So for this brush, we're talking short little rubber bristles, and I feel like it doesn't come off incredibly cleaned off. You know how some of these wands come out just like you can hardly see anything on the brush? Here you really can, which in a sense kind of helps it build up faster. Also, you know what I want to use? I saw Alex Earl on TikTok pulled out one of these guys to keep from getting a mess. And I thought, you know, I could be a lot more aggressive with my mascara application if I pulled out the one I have. Mine is from a brand called Whoosh, and I'm not sure that it's still being made, but I know these kinds of tools are out there from a lot of different brands. Did that do much? Look at me going back to my old ways in 3 seconds. I feel like the curl is drooping a little bit. I thought maybe using this would kind of help keep the curl from dropping so quick, because you're really like pushing those lashes up as you apply. Oh, she heard Bub get up. That's why she left. Okay, let's try the whole thing on this eye. How did that do? I'm still not like wowed. I think it should be helping me out so much more, but it's like the mascara is not still getting in there. I think it's just hitting one side of the lash. Okay, we got some work to do. So overall from this mascara, I feel like I'm getting a lot of actual added thickness, but not as much length. And I wouldn't say it's exactly dropping the curl. It's just, it's not lengthening them out quite as much as I'd like to see. And I think that's why it worked well with the little black primer, because that did, I believe, add to my length somewhat. And this brought the thickness. For lips, I'm kind of doing this out of the order that they chose everything, but Biddy chose the lipstick and Belle chose the gloss. So the lipstick she chose, I gave her the color categories. She chose berry, so we opened up the berry drawer and she chose Glastonbury, the Matte Revolution lipstick from Charlotte Tilbury. So we're gonna use that. It's pretty rich. I've had this one for a while, but I don't care. I made a conscious decision not to declutter it recently. Dark and kind of vampy. Haven't really gone this dark in a minute, but I'm liking that a lot. I actually want to clean it up a little bit. I don't think the tone matters so much as just having the depth level right here. So I'm using Chocolate from Revlon Colorstay. Just neatening up my line. Somebody on a TikTok said, always use lip liner first. Well, lip liner first can be advantageous in a lot of situations, especially when you're wanting to increase the staying power of whatever's going on top, or just make your entire look last longer. You got that whole filled in lip. And a lot of times I do that, but a completely different function for lip liner can just be what I call cleanup mode. So you've already put your lipstick on. I want this to be my main color of my lip today, but I'm cleaning up the outer edges. So you can do it that way too. There are no rules. The more you use makeup, the more you realize just the little tricks that help you. It's rich, it's really bringing the darkness, and I like it. And then Belle chose the Essence Extreme Shine Volume Gloss, and this is not going to offer a lot of color. This is really sheer to almost clear, but the shade Summer Punch. So we're going to have a glossy dark lip. Just a little bit on there. Whew. A few things I'm going to do at this point. I'm going to blink down onto my fingers to try to get that curl back up here. This is a heavy mascara. We just want it to fully dry in the most upturned way. Also got a big old clump in there. Okay, there's that. Number 2, I want to put on some more blush, but I also want to kind of powder this zone. My blush today is not incredibly intense, so I think I'll do the powder part first, actually. A little more of this Glossier. This time I'm just going to go into it with a brush, my Morphe Under Eye Bullet brush, and just hit this area. See if we can brighten up just a little more, smooth out a little more. And then this Milani Supercharged blush that they picked. Let's get a good little concentrated amount. Once that dark lip goes on there, gang, like, the cheek needs to have some balance. See, look how much better that looks. Just having a little more color. Straight off my finger. Glastonbury might be one of the darkest berry lipsticks I own. This coming from the girl who wanted the Disney Villains makeup eraser set. Okay, and then these little hair clips came from ColourPop's Valentine's set last year. I loved those. They look like little jelly hearts. How do we feel about this, friends? I'm pretty much liking how the skin turned out as a whole. That e.l.f. pen is good as a brightener, but it's not my favorite solely as concealer because I feel like this turned out to be a fairly glam look and I want a little heavier coverage, just helping me out a little bit more on a day like today with this look. The eye turned out pretty. It actually coordinated really beautifully with the lip. I did kind of know that a deep lip was coming, so I tried to go for those sorts of tones in this palette. Highlighter's beautiful. Blush is overall kind of sheer, but we built it and I'm satisfied. This is the makeup look that you guys picked out yesterday. How did you think it turned out? Nookie picked the eyeshadow palette, Biddy picked the lipstick.
I love it.
Thoughts?
I love it. I like it. It's so beautiful.
Biddy, you picked out a really deep lip color. Did you notice that?
I love it.
Thank you for helping me.
You're welcome.
So yeah, that concludes this episode of my girls pick my makeup. I think they did a very nice job. Maybe we'll have Bubba pick it next, or the cats, or my mom, or who knows. Thank you guys so much for your time. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you again very, very soon. I love you. Bye.